When you stop communicating with a woman, something subtle yet powerful begins to stir in her mind. It doesn't matter whether she was the one who pulled away, or if you made the decision to cut things off, there's a psychological response that activates deep inside her. The real question is, how does that shift how she sees you? Does she simply forget you, or does she begin to question what happened? To understand this, we need to explore attraction and desire from a deeper, more psychological perspective, something Neil Strauss touches on with precision. This isn't just about using the no-contact rule or playing games. It's about grasping how interest is triggered and what goes on in a woman's mind when someone who was once close suddenly vanishes. Attraction isn't built on availability. When something comes easily, it rarely feels valuable. It's the uncertainty, the mystery, and that subtle sense of loss that flips the switch. When you step away, you don't just disappear, you create a void. And that void doesn't get filled quickly. Instead, her mind begins to search for meaning. Why did he stop talking? Did he lose interest? Did I even matter to him? This is where frame control comes in, a concept Neil Strauss emphasizes. Whoever controls the frame controls the interaction. When you stay too available, always texting and showing interest, the frame belongs to her. But when you pull away, the balance of power shifts. Curiosity kicks in. Her perception changes. That doesn't mean she'll chase you instantly. Not every woman reacts the same. But almost always she'll think about you, and that's where your impact begins. Often when a man withdraws, the woman appears unbothered at first, maybe even indifferent. But that's surface level. The real shift happens over time. Absence isn't loud. It's quiet at first, then slowly it starts to echo. The initial days might not mean much, but eventually, that silence starts asking questions her mind can't ignore. If there was real connection, absence becomes an emotional trigger. People want what they can't easily have. It's human nature. If she was used to your availability and you suddenly vanish, her expectations are shattered. This creates cognitive dissonance. When reality doesn't match her mental picture, her brain goes to work trying to fix the contradiction. Neil Strauss's insights on attraction and the emotional patterns behind relationships are clear on this. Indifference, when authentic, is powerful. Not because it manipulates, but because it disrupts the usual rhythm. She can't place you in the same category anymore. She can't assume you'll always be there, and that alone makes you stand out. The mistake most men make is jumping at the first sign of interest. The moment she starts to reach out, they get excited, reply fast, and make it clear they were just waiting. But doing that ends the mystery. Her mind gets closure. The internal search for answers over. You're still there. Nothing's changed. The power dissolves. The point isn't to ignore her or play cold games. It's about portraying real value. As Strauss notes, social value is a cornerstone of attraction. If she sees you've moved on, not out of spite, but because your life is full of purpose, growth, and options, she starts seeing you differently. But if she thinks your silence is just a strategy to provoke her, the spell breaks. The goal isn't just to get her thinking. It's to shift how she sees you entirely. Because when you become a mystery and when she starts feeling like she's losing you, that's when your perceived value rises. That's when the dynamic begins to tilt. At first, she might act like it's nothing. She might rationalize the distance. But with time, that absence becomes less of an accident and more of a puzzle she can't solve. Attraction doesn't obey logic. It isn't based on a checklist of qualities. It's emotional, often subconscious, and triggered by deep signals. One of the most powerful is uncertainty. When you disappear, she starts asking herself questions she hadn't before. Did she really have your attention? Did you care at all? Were you ever fully hers? And the mind resists uncertainty. It needs resolution. So she sifts through memories, looking for reasons, analyzing every interaction. Then something interesting happens. Her memory starts changing. When you're in constant contact with someone, you see their flaws, get used to routines. But when you vanish, her mind starts polishing the past. What was once normal becomes something she misses. The relationship in her mind becomes something more. Neil Strauss emphasizes that we don't fall for people. We fall for the mental image we construct of them. And absence helps shape that image into something more idealized. That's why a woman who seemed fine when you walked away may begin feeling your absence more deeply than expected. It's not just the person that's missing. It's the emotional security, the connection, the idea of being wanted. But this is a slow burn. At first, she might distract herself, pretend it didn't matter, but as the silence stretches on and the world continues without your presence in it, something shifts. She begins to wonder, did she misjudge the situation? Did she let go too quickly? That seed of doubt is powerful. If she reaches out, most men blow it. They respond too fast, too emotionally, as if her message validated everything. And just like that, the intrigue vanishes. Her doubts are gone, the power of your absence undone. What should happen instead is a subtle shift in energy. Your response needs to show that you've changed. You're not angry or cold, but you're no longer waiting. You've moved forward, your tone, your energy, your confidence. They tell her more than any words. Neil Strauss is clear on this. Attraction lives in emotion, not logic. And if your reaction doesn't reflect that her return makes or breaks nothing for you, her interest grows again. Because mystery returns, the mistake is thinking you need to be distant or harsh to keep her hooked. You don't. You just need to show that your identity doesn't depend on her. The more she sees that she doesn't control the situation, that she's not fully in the know, the stronger her interest becomes. Becoming overly available too soon undoes all the progress made during your silence. The best move is to grow through that distance. Focus on yourself. New goals, new confidence, show. Not tell that your life continues with or without her. Then, when she realizes you're not the same man she once knew, you're no longer predictable. You're a challenge, a riddle, an unfinished chapter. When she truly begins to feel your absence, it doesn't always show immediately. She might deny it to her friends or even herself. But internally, a conflict begins. Her ego wants to shrug it off, but her subconscious keeps bringing you back. That quiet internal tug-of-war is where the shift happens, because now she's emotionally invested. Not from comfort or validation, but from confusion and emotional risk. When you were always available, she didn't need to care much. She was in control, but now there's loss. The fascinating part is that this absence often shows in small, unnoticeable ways. She might check your profiles, say your name without realizing it, feel a strange pang when something reminds her of you. She might question if she made the right call, but again, this shift only happens if you manage the distance wisely. If you pull away only to chase her again, she'll sense it, and the effect is ruined. She'll feel like she has the upper hand again. Strauss talks about perception. It's not just what you do, but how she perceives your actions. If your silence feels like desperation, it fails. But if it feels like quiet confidence, like you're building your life, not begging for hers, it changes everything. And as time passes without signs of your interest, her imagination fills the silence, most of the time not in your favor. Her ego will try to write you off, but deep down, one question lingers. Why? Why did someone so present just disappear? Was she wrong about you? Did she not matter? This uncertainty creates emotional weight, and she's the one carrying it now. And that's where the power truly lies. She won't admit she's thinking of you. She might not even admit it to herself. But her thoughts will keep circling back, and the more she resists them, the stronger they return. She may try to distract herself, other people, new routines, but if the connection was real, your absence won't be silent for long. The brain isn't built to ignore emotional gaps, so eventually she may reach out, not directly, maybe a small message, a like, a reaction. Just enough to test the waters, to see if she still has some pull. That's your test. Most men fail it. They jump at it, show too much, kill the mystery. The moment she knows she still has you, the process halts. The magic disappears. The real game isn't in ignoring her. It's in maintaining your purpose, your growth, your confidence. If she shows interest, don't act like everything's back to normal. It's not. You've evolved, and now you decide how this story continues. Strauss says desire always leans toward what's not easily grasped. The more she sees you as someone grounded, independent, and full of purpose, with or without her, the more drawn she becomes. And here's the truth, it's not just about making her miss you. It's about becoming someone who no longer needs her validation. When that shift becomes real, not just a tactic, the attraction you build is natural, lasting, and undeniable. If she still shows no signs of missing you right now, that doesn't mean your strategy failed. Everyone processes absence differently. Some resist longer, others feel it faster. What matters is, you're not waiting for a specific reaction. You're not obsessively tracking every detail, hoping she comes back. Because if your mindset is still anchored in expecting her response, there was never real detachment. What creates true attraction is the energy of someone who lives with purpose, who keeps moving forward, not someone chasing validation from one person. And when you truly embrace that mindset, you won't just catch her attention, you'll naturally become attractive to others too. Because the key isn't just that she misses you, it's that when she does, she realizes she no longer holds the power she once thought she had. That's the transformation. As your absence grows, her mind starts turning on itself. Uncertainty becomes a seed. A slow, burning question, why hasn't he reached out yet? At first, she might dismiss it, expecting you'll contact her soon. But as time passes and no message comes, that doubt starts to grow. That's when Neil Strauss's scarcity principle kicks in. We value what we fear we might lose. Not because we want to lose it, but because the human brain naturally desires what's hard to keep. If she once saw you as always available, always present, never a challenge, your distance shifts that entire perception. And during this phase, she'll likely try to convince herself she doesn't care. She might date, distract herself, surround herself with people and noise, trying to numb the emptiness your absence created. But here's the turning point, comparison. Even if she never says it out loud, her mind begins comparing. The new conversations to yours, the new connections to the one she had with you. If there was once real chemistry, real depth, those comparisons won't always work in her favor. It's not that she suddenly idealizes you out of nowhere, it's that, without your presence, her mind starts reconstructing you in a more positive light. She remembers the spark, the connection, the energy, and every failed attempt to replace that just makes the image of you stronger. Soon, you're no longer just a guy she dated. You become an unreachable experience she didn't know she would miss this much. Now here's where many men fail. The moment they notice she's reacting, they rush in to restore the old dynamic. And the second you become fully accessible again, her curiosity vanishes. You're no longer a mystery, no longer a challenge. You become safe, predictable, but attraction doesn't grow in safety. It grows in curiosity. This isn't about playing games. It's about letting her experience your absence. Let her be the one walking the road of doubt, comparison, and second thoughts. Because every little thing that reminds her of you hits way harder than any text you could send. And that's when Neil Strauss's principle becomes even more powerful. Instead of chasing, you show her through action that your life hasn't stopped. She sees you moving forward, new experiences, new energy, a life that's still full, even without her. Now she faces something she didn't expect, a reality where you're not waiting. Her ego assumed you'd always be there. But now, she sees your attention is no longer guaranteed, and that creates a desire very few can resist, to reclaim what they think they're losing. But here's another common mistake. Men confuse distance with indifference. This isn't about disappearing forever. It's about showing that you have options, that you don't need her attention to feel validated. And when you project that kind of energy, you shift the whole dynamic. If she decides to reconnect, it won't be obvious. She'll test the waters. A casual message, a like on your post, bringing up an inside joke only you two shared. In her mind, this isn't casual. She's checking, do I still have influence here? And most men blow it right there. They respond with excitement, full energy, ready to jump back in, making it clear they've been waiting. But if you do that, you shatter everything you built. The key isn't to reject her. It's to handle her return with control. Let her feel the change. Let her see that you're not the same man anymore. Not eager, not desperate. That shift is powerful. Now you're no longer predictable. You're interesting. A man with his own world, his own purpose, his own value. And that's when reconnecting doesn't feel like an option to her. It feels like a need. Because, as Neil Strauss said, human desire is always moving, always searching. It feeds on emotion, on mystery, on curiosity. And when you get this, you realize attraction isn't about words. It's about what you project without saying a word. If she sees that your absence didn't break you, that you're still confident, still growing, still full of purpose, the desire to be part of your world intensifies. And if she returns, it won't be with the same mindset she left with. Now she sees you differently. You're no longer the guy waiting for her. You're someone of intrinsic value, with or without her. And that's the most powerful position you can have. Because now, you get to decide how things unfold, but don't get comfortable. If you fall back into your old patterns, the cycle repeats. The key is to maintain this energy, this abundance. A life full of experiences, growth, and meaning. Not to prove anything, but because that's just who you are now. And when you project that naturally, she'll show more interest. She'll invest more. She'll try to keep the connection alive. The best part, at this point, it's not even about her anymore. You've changed, you're no longer acting from need, you're moving from choice, and that changes the entire game. Now, you decide who deserves your time, you decide who belongs in your world, not based on validation, but based on alignment. Because it's not about chasing. It's about becoming someone impossible to ignore.